Hey guys, this is the Reverend. Once again, we're here in the basement of the Bart bunker with another prepared household tip of the week. This week, brace yourselves, Ebola! Okay, I'll give you 5 or 10 seconds for your heart rate to come back to normal. Now, by this point, and by the time you see this video, maybe it's gone global, maybe it's totally burned out. But what we do know is this. Currently in West Africa, they are having a really nasty outbreak of a particularly virulent strain of Ebola. Ebola is a part of a family of viruses known as the filoviruses. They are hemorrhagic fevers. Marburg, Lassa are a couple of other examples, and they are nasty. Not only in their virulence, not only in their lethality rate, but in the mechanism with which they take apart a human body. It is gruesome, like nothing you've ever beheld. But here's a little perspective. More people die of malaria every year. More people die of tuberculosis every year. Tens of thousands die of all sorts of other diseases. Is it nasty? Yeah, it's really nasty, and you should be aware of it. But this panic thing is a little out of hand. I want to throw this at you first of all. The cases that came into the CDC are not what you need to be worried about. The CDC, at their level 4 containment facilities, have containment protocols in place for this virus, okay? Not only do they have those people there under those containment protocols, but guess what? They have live samples of the virus that they play with every day. And for my Texas friends, back in Houston, the closest CDC level 4 containment lab to you, Galveston. Sleep well. Anyway, the point is this. If there is an outbreak, it's not going to come from the CDC. It's more than likely going to walk across the southern border, or it's going to fly in on a passenger flight from West Africa. Is it going to get here eventually? Damn straight it is. But the other thing you have to keep in perspective is that in a civilized first world nation, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to contain with the medical infrastructure that we have in place. Could it still get out of hand? Absolutely. And should you be prepared for it? Damn straight you ought to be prepared for it. All right, Reverend, so what can I do? Well, here's where it gets sad. Nothing. There's no currently accepted treatment by the FDA. There's no cure. There's no vaccine. All they can do is basically make sure that your fluid levels stay stable and continue to give you medications to offset the hemorrhaging. That's really all that they can do. So your number one strategy in the event of an outbreak here is avoid, avoid, avoid. And if you find yourself in contact, and this is a good idea not just for Ebola, but for any contagion, particularly airborne contagions, which are much more common and much more potentially pandemic level lethal, is if you have to be in contact, make sure that you keep the fluid contact to an absolute minimum. Things to keep on hand, not necessarily for Ebola, but for influenza or TB or any of the things that stand a potential to have an outbreak here. Number one, filter masks. NIOSH N95 level filter masks, like these right here. You can pick them up at any Home Depot, any Northern Tool, big R stores if you're up in this part of the country. Those things are available for you. If you want to go to the next level, you got to make sure to protect your eyes. You want to keep those particulates out of your mouth, your nose, and your eyes. So keep these safety goggles on hand if you absolutely have to be in contact with an infected person. Once again, number one strategy, avoid, avoid, avoid. And here's a little something that I picked up from keepshooting.com. You're going to learn to love it because it provides all the necessary protections, but you're really going to dig it because it's kind of sexy. This mask here is available from keepshooting.com. It's got side-mounted filters, and it's basically an exact replica of the old USGI M17 gas mask. Now, these particular masks are useless against modern chemical agents, nerve agents, anything that you might see in a chemical attack, but they do provide that N95 level of protection as far as airborne particulates. It'll keep the moisture droplets out, and the goggles are built right in. And as you can see, the real reason you're going to dig it is because once you put it on, you get to look like the Humongous from the Road Warrior. Very, very sexy. So anyway, you can find these, last I checked online, they were about $10 at keepshooting.com. So the long and the short of it is the outbreak is there. It's happening. Has it made it here yet? Well, nobody seems to really be talking about it. Eventually, it's going to get here, right? And it is really, really horrible. You should be prepared, but you shouldn't be afraid, okay? There's a big difference between preparation and panic, and you don't ever want to cross that threshold. Be prepared. Do what you can. If you have a sympathetic doctor, beyond Ebola, with regard to any outbreak, you should have a medical kit stocked with the best antivirals and the best antibiotics that you can come up with. Those things should be in your kit. Again, we're getting away from Ebola because that's not the real threat to be worried about here, right? You should also have plenty of electrolyte replacements on hand. To make sure that you'll be able to replenish fluid levels while your immune system hopefully is doing what it's supposed to be doing if you're recovering from an infection. And again, not Ebola, but dealing with weaponized strains of influenza, bird flu, any of the other things that you can come up with. So, long and the short of it is this, guys. Ebola is a very, very nasty bug. I'm going to recommend some reading for you real quick. Richard Preston wrote a book called The Hot Zone. If you really want a look at what this is and what it isn't, get on Amazon and take a gander at The Hot Zone. If you don't feel like sleeping for a couple of weeks, read pretty much anything Richard Preston's ever written. If you want to get the chills about smallpox, there's Demon in the Freezer, and he actually did a fiction book for you fiction fans called The Cobra Event that's definitely damn well worth the read. Anyway, hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully it's done something to set your mind at ease, but to at least keep the edge on, to where you know that these threats are out there. They will present themselves from time to time, and to inspire you to be prepared but not panicked. Again, be willing to do just this much more. I don't have to outrun the bear, I just have to outrun you. Anyway, thanks a lot for your continued support. Keep the comments and the questions coming. I am the Reverend, and we will see you on the firing line.